Hello everybody and welcome back to another My Porch Prints tutorials. Today we are going to be putting together this tabbed folio template, and I've decorated it with the Simply Christmas kit. So real fast, I'm just going to go over all of the different panels and what papers I used for them in case you want to copy it exactly. So for this one, I'm using this decorative paper for the folio envelope, and I also printed it front and back with the red pinstripes on the back side of it. And then for the rest of the panels, I used this red pinstripe for the panel D pockets, as well as the panels 2C and 2D pockets. And then some green pinstripe for panels 2A and 2B. And then this like decorative Christmas paper for panels C and D. And then green pinstripe for panels A and panel B. And all of these panels are blank on the back, like they're just white printer paper. I printed everything on cardstock, and the envelope is the only one that is printed front and back. And then I have these other panels which are left just as is on the front, and those are printed on snowflake design papers on the back. And again, it's cardstock. And I also went ahead and printed out the add-on kit for the Simply Christmas journal kit. And I also had these inspirational skinny word tags is what they're called, the Christmas ones. And I thought I would use more of these, but I didn't. But if there's something you want to use, I will have them linked down below anyway. And then I also have the actual Simply Christmas journal kit that I printed out earlier, but you can use any kit you want. This is just the one that I went ahead and used. So I'm going to go ahead and get started by lighting this caramel scented candle and putting on some Christmas music just to kind of get in the spirit of things. And I assembled this off camera, but we do have a full tutorial for the assembly, and I will link that down below as well if you need help with that. And I actually forgot to ink mine before assembling it, so that is something that you'll want to do to make your life a little bit easier. I'm going to go ahead and still try to ink the edges of what I can and just try to give it a more distressed look using this vintage photo distress ink. So just going real sort of heavy-handed over the creases, as well as some light like ink dabbing on the pages themselves. And coming back to the cover here, I'm going to be taking this little ephemera piece from the kit and going over that with distress ink as well, and this will be sort of the centerpiece for our cover. And I'm going to give it a framed border using this decorative paper from the kit, just sort of eyeballing probably a 1/4 inch border around it, gluing it down and cutting it out. And I'll be using Fabri-Tac for this. And when I have it cut out, I'm going to go ahead and use a corner rounding punch just to round all of those corners so they kind of match the little ephemera piece, which those corners I've rounded as well. And then again, going in with the distress ink. Now I'm going to be taking some of these little brads, and I'm going to be using a micro hole punch to punch a hole in each of the corners. Again, I'm just kind of eyeballing things. I'm not really measuring. And I'm going to be putting the brads in these little hole punches, and that'll help sort of add a little bit of dimension to our cover piece. And for decorating, I'm just going to be taking some of this ribbon I have, some lacy ribbon, some like knitted ribbon, I don't really know what to call it, and then I also have this like checkered red ribbon. And I'm also going to be taking this little tab that comes with the kit and using that on the sort of centerpiece that we have here. So I'm just going to find a journal word that fits in that, and we have a whole bunch of them. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Holly Jolly one and go over that with a bit of distress ink, as well as going over the actual page tab itself with the distress ink. And because it's a little bit too big, it's sort of covering the words, I'm just going to go ahead and glue it shut and glue it to the actual, like the back of the tag. And I think that'll look a little bit cleaner for what I'm trying to do. All right, and after that is assembled, I'm gonna go ahead and cut my ribbon, and I'm going to cut it to fit the green panel. I don't want it to go to the actual edge of the folio, so I'm just going to measure here and cut everything to fit, and then glue them down in layers. Just like so. And the way that this like little knitted ribbon has like these sort of sewn knots kind of makes it look a little bit crooked, but that's okay. It sort of adds to that handmade, homemade factor, so I'm okay with it. And I'm also going to take some of the lace ribbon and the red checkered ribbon on the top. I'm not going to add that like homemade one this time just because I want the tag to lie flat. And then I'm also going to be grabbing these cream colored bows that I have and placing those at the bottom of the page, just like this. And then I'm going to glue down our little tag and add a button to the center. And that is going to finish the cover. Kind of keeping the decorating sort of simple today. Alright, so opening up the inside cover, I'm going to be taking this pocket, and I did have this like label. I'm going to use that later actually, so you can go ahead and ignore that. Instead, I'm going to make my own label here using a scrap piece from when I cut everything out, and just cutting a small border and going over them with distress ink. And you can ignore some of the other decorative things in the background. I was sort of like making up my mind as I was working. I'm also going to take some cheesecloth and a little flower here and just cut everything to fit before gluing it down. I'm also going to take some journal words to add to the little tabs that are here, going over those with distress ink and then gluing them down. And also going over the pocket with distress ink and grabbing a scrap from the add-on kit that we'll use a little bit later. First, I'm going to add some of that ribbon behind the pocket here, just adding glue to the sides and bottom of the pocket and gluing it on top. And then using distress ink, I'm going to go over that scrap and then add glue to just the bottom and one side to make it like a little tuck spot. And for decorating the pages, I'm going to take one of my lace doilies that I had available, and I'm just going to line it up along the panel and sort of make a little crease with my fingernail where the panel is. I don't want it going again to the top or sides. I'm just sticking with that like decorative panel here and making a little crease with my fingernail. I will then use that crease as a guide and cut that part off that I need to use. And I'm going to sort of place it where I want it, and then again crease right along the sides of the panel so that everything fits perfectly. And then again just creasing it with my fingernail and cutting those parts off. And when I glued them down, I made sure to sort of smooth the glue out so that it didn't show through the very thin like doily paper. You can use a paintbrush for this if you don't want to use your finger. And then I'm just going to do the same thing to the other side, and this is what it should look like when finished. Now I'm going to add a little bit of that checkered ribbon to the top here, cutting it to fit the panel, and just doing it to both sides. And this is what that should look like when done. Now I'm going to go ahead and start like filling the pockets with little ephemera pieces and tags. You could add a Christmas card or a little note if you wanted to. This is just kind of what I'm doing for mine for now. And I'm also going to be adding a little tag up here. I did it later, so you're not seeing it, but I did add a journal word to this extra tab. And now going to decorate the inside, I'm going to be taking these pockets from the kit and some labels as well. And we're just going to be decorating each of the pockets. So using pockets that come with the kit, again these labels, and I did make some borders for them. I'll show you how to do that real fast. Just finding any ephemera piece you want to use as like a little label tag here, and then I just sort of measured out how big I wanted it to be and cut a little border, again going in with distress ink on all of the pieces. Just gluing them down like so. And I didn't want to print another label out. I was kind of lazy here, so I decided I would just go ahead and make my own. So I found this tag, and I'm going to just be cutting out the Oh Holy Night from it and just sort of making a makeshift label Again, going in with Distress ink and creating a little border using the green pinstripe papers for the outside pockets and using red for the inside pocket labels. And that just kind of keeps everything looking sort of cohesive. Alright, and once that's done, I'm just going to finish it up by using Distress ink on all of the pieces and gluing them all down. And to decorate the page, I'm just going to keep it really simple here, taking a decorative ribbon that I have, this like sort of lacy ribbon, and I'm going to stretch it all the way across all 4 panels, and I will be gluing that down to the top of the page. Just remember not to use anything too thick or the panels might not fold properly. Mine was thin enough, so I didn't have any problem with that. And after gluing everything down, this is what it should look like. And I'm just going to go ahead and fill everything in with some tags and ephemera, just whatever I want to use. And then I will be finishing up the page using some of that red checkered ribbon, again along that top of each of the pages. And this is what it should look like when done. Alright, so we can go ahead and finish things up by working on the back here. I'm going to be taking some ephemera cards that I have, and I'm going to use that to fill the little envelope, as well as using this like red Merry and Bright tag as a decorative sort of centerpiece. And I'm going to use a button, just sort of glue it down on top of the flap to be decorative, and then add some lace along the bottom. And for the actual like centerpiece, I'm going to create another border, just using this pretty Christmas paper and cutting it down to size. Again, I didn't measure anything, I sort of just eyeball what looks right. And then I'm going to be using a corner rounding punch again, just to round the corners on this to make it match the front. Just like so, and then again going in with the Distress ink. And here's where my camera died, so I'm just going to walk you through what I did to finish this page real fast. So I went ahead and added some of these Velcro like stickers to help keep the envelope closed, as well as adding that red ribbon to the bottom of the envelope. And then I added some of those brads to each of the corners, and it's exactly the same process as what we did on the front cover, so just sort of follow that same process and it should come together just fine. So that is going to finish our Simply Christmas folio. I hope you got some inspiration, and thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time. Bye!